All right, we'll get to all that in a second. We got to start
that?
in the NBA. Who knows what that was? Nuggets Suns game 2 and second verse, same as the first. Phoenix continues to look like the most balanced team in the playoffs, led by Chris Paul. 17 points for Chris Paul, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. Suns with 6 guys in double figures. That's why they rolled to a 25-point win. Another reason? Nuggets didn't show up. Here's head coach Michael Malone.
Saw one team that wanted to be here and play with a purpose and urgency, and one team that did not want to be here and play with no urgency. And that's why we got our ass kicked. This was an embarrassing performance from myself all the way through the last player. You know, we're walking out of here with our heads held down, rightfully so. And there's a reason that their crowd is yelling Suns in 4 and they're calling for a sweep, because if we play like this back in Denver, this is going to be a really quick series. I felt we quit tonight, which is something you never want to see. So I guess for game 3, I'm just going to try to find guys that will at least go out there and leave it all on the line. I may have a hard time coming up with 5 guys that fill that, but these 2 games, these second halves, have really been disappointing, and that's an understatement.
Michael Malone, nothing if not honest in that press conference. Now back to CP3. How great was he? This is his 3rd playoff game with 15 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. Guys, only Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson have had only one of those kind of games, and that was back 1991. So, Nick, what is the biggest takeaway from Game 2? CP3's dominance or the Nuggets coach Michael Malone ripping his own team?
Oh, I think it's Chris Paul. And listen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And earlier this week on this show, in my less than most professional moment, I said, you know what, producers? Put on the bottom line. Brandon's been right about everything in the playoffs because I'm sick of hearing about it. Well, I'm going to do it to myself. Put on the bottom line. Nick thinks Chris Paul's the MVP, not Jokic, because you're going to be hearing a lot about that today. Because did Michael Malone sound like he has the MVP on his team? Did Michael Malone sound like, guys, everything's fine. We're going back home. We got not only the best player in the series, we got the best player in the league on our team. He's about to get a shiny, big trophy that proves it. No, Michael Malone sounded worried and panicked because the best player in this series, the most valuable player in this series, the guy who knows how to win the most in this series, is the 6'0" point guard currently residing in the greater Phoenix area. Jenna, you showed that amazing stat about what Chris Paul did last night, about how it's been done 5 times in 35 years, 3 of which by Chris Paul. One of which, did you notice, when he was on the New Orleans Hornets, a team that no longer exists? He did it 13 years ago. Well, I've got another one for you. Guys to have at least 25 assists and 1 or fewer turnovers in consecutive playoff games. It's been done 3 times in the last 35 years. By Chris Paul again, and by Chris Paul again. He's the only guy to do it, and he's done it 3 separate times for different teams. Wilds, I understand that the story is going to be, for most people, about Michael Malone napalming his own team on the eve of his guy getting the MVP award actually presented to him. But to me, the story is the guy who should have gotten the MVP award presented to him last night, controlled every facet of that game for a Suns team that has now won 5 in a row. And in all 5 of those games, they've been up by 15 plus. In a few of them, they've been up by damn near 30. They have been dominating the last 10 days of these NBA playoffs.
See, I don't think Michael Malone just attacked his own team. I think he attacked first things first, because he knows that we are a very hot show in Denver. One of the hottest shows in Denver. There's a weather newscast that's a little hotter than us, but we are right there, and we are climbing the charts fast. And here's the thing, because I think Denver's players think exactly like how we think. It's like, we got the MVP, but our second best player was just last time we saw him on the floor, he was on crutches shooting one-legged threes in warm-ups. And Michael Porter Jr. kind of looks a little bit hurt. He only had 11 points. We don't have what it takes. Just how the Lakers didn't have what it takes, and they had LeBron. But once your second star goes down, you probably don't have what it takes. So, we'll play with a little, we'll show up here, but this is not our year. And Michael Malone, Brandon, tried to squash that. He tried to start a new narrative that it's not about the personnel, it's just about effort. I don't personally believe it. When I was watching that game, I certainly, the Suns had more energy and the crowd was going nuts, but I didn't get the vibe that, they gave up. So Mike Malone sort of, not only sort of setting a fire, but, just throwing gas on a fire that he's creating. He's trying to start this narrative that the team is not trying to try to infuse belief in them. I still don't think they have the personnel. I think the Suns are going to roll them.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as them not having the personnel. Think about the story all year. The story all year was about Joker and how awesome he was and how efficient he was and how he's going to be the MVP. Well, hell, he's now the MVP. The story was never about them being a great team and that they were going to possibly be the team to come out the West. I don't think anybody picked the Nuggets to come out the West. So, we're seeing exactly what we thought we would see. They're playing against a really good team whose story all year been they're the most balanced team. You heard Jenna say that. They're the most complete team in the playoffs. Well, that's something I said. Not everybody's saying that, but they are the most complete team. They are the most balanced team. So we're seeing it play out the way it should play out. But here's the deal, though, Wilds. As a player, as a coach, when you walk in that locker room or you're standing on the sideline, if guys are bringing it or not. You can look in a guy's eyes and see if they do. You can go in the locker room before the game, Nick, and see how a dude is getting dressed. Is he getting dressed, putting on his shoes and his pants slow? Is he still wiping sleep out of his eyes? Is he bouncing around? Is he still sticking to his normal routine? Oh, wow. What is Joker doing? Why isn't Joker in the cold tub right now? He's usually in the cold tub right now bouncing with music. So So Coach Malone is talking to a handful of guys. He's not talking to everybody, but he's definitely talking to a couple guys in that locker room that he saw something in that just didn't stick to the routine and that didn't bring it last night.
Well, so 2 quick points here. One is, I do think, Brandon, one of the reasons, you're right, nobody was picking Denver, but I think it was because people, no matter what happens in the regular season, when the playoffs roll around, you start asking about individual players. And you're like, okay, do I really think this team is going to knock out LeBron? Do I really think this team is going to knock out Kawhi, right? Well, now LeBron's gone and Kawhi's on the other side of the bracket. So if Joker actually is the MVP, then he absolutely, with or without Jamal Murray, should be able to get his team past the Suns, should be able to get his team, and then we'll see if in the next round, if you're playing Kawhi and Kawhi takes over, so be it. But if you're up against Utah, it should be, you know what? We've got the guy. And Jamal Murray is probably actually, when he comes back, their third best player because Michael Porter Jr. will have supplanted him. But the thing about Joker, Brandon, is this. Joker isn't being outplayed by DeAndre Ayton, but it's way too close for Denver to have a chance. Ayton's giving you 18 and 10 on 60%. Joker's giving you 23 and 11 on 48%. Now, Joker obviously has added 9 total assists, so 4.5 assists, which is something Ayton doesn't do. But they need those to be 10-7 rounds, Joker versus Ayton, if they're going to have any chance. And Ayton instead, it's like 10-9 Joker, and that's not going to be enough for them.
Yeah, all right. But look, the bigger takeaway was CP3, like you said earlier. You should be mad at CP3, Nick. Back in, the end of April, we talked about who's the MVP, and you came out of left field and you said, CP3's the guy. CP3's the guy. Wild stood up and said, you know what? I think he is the guy. But what he needs is LeBron James. What he needs is everybody in the banana boat to go out there, go on this PR run and say, CP3 is the guy. All right, we saw that a little bit. But then what happened with CP3? The next couple games, they get ran off the court. He doesn't look great.
Game.
He didn't follow up that whole momentum, that whole movement. He didn't follow up with 17 points, 15 assists, and zero turnovers. He didn't do that. So you need to be mad at CP3.
He was saving it.
He let you down.
He was saving it for this moment. He was saving it for this moment, Jenna.
He let you down.
Meanwhile, I'm over here still wondering what kind of music Jokic is listening to in the cold tub. Brendan said he was. Back talking Tom Brady now.
K-pop.
Is it possible that even coming off knee surgery, the GOAT can and will improve in year 22? We'll talk about it next. Year 22. This is First Things First on a Thursday morning. Time now for Drawing a Blank. Tom Brady's coming off post-Super Bowl knee surgery. We saw him going full speed in minicamp this week. He talked yesterday about what he's working on. Take a listen.
It was probably, something that was it certainly needed to be done, and there's a great outcome. So I'm very happy about that. I feel I'll be able to do some different things this year than I was able to do last year.
Oh, pray tell. Hey, Brandon, Tom Brady's comments on his off-season surgery are blank.
Sounds good, Jenna. That's what the answer is. You just saw LeBron James on the shop. He had Jay-Z come in, sit in a chair, and they talked. And LeBron said something interesting. He talked about, when you're a player and you go to that first camp, you'll never be 100% again. So I don't know why us players continue to tell ourselves this lie. I mean, I keep saying us, I'm retired, I'm done. But players, you always think you're going to get back to 100%. So as soon as you bring that car out of the garage, it's going to get rained on. Somebody's going to ding it when you park it. So you'll never be 100% again. So it sounds good. But as soon as you get to camp, you're going to be dealing with something. It's going to be an ankle. It's going to be a hamstring. It's going to be a quad. The best players in the world find a way to get it done, to play at a high level, dealing with something. So sounds good.
All right, so this is confounding for me. And listen, I am the show's historian and archivist, but Wilds is the Tom Brady resident historian and archivist. What is he talking about that his knee was preventing him from doing that he used to do in his career? Tom Brady's most famous runs all have one thing in common, Wilds. They're 6 inches forward on a quarterback sneak. So what was this, like a lack of agility or mobility hurting him in a way that I have forgotten? So help explain it to me, Wilds, because for the time being, this is quite confusing.
Well, sure. I'm happy to explain to you. Tom Brady is a mobile quarterback. He's had 3 100-yard rushing seasons back earlier in his career. The last 3 seasons in New England, he ran for 28 yards, 35 yards, and 34 yards. But in Tampa Bay, he only ran for 6 total yards. That means he fell off by a multiple of 5. So now that the knee is fixed, I'm looking at a return to greatness. Look for about a 30 to 37-yard season, 5 times as good as last year. The GOAT is back.
What is happening?
The GOAT is back.
Oh my
Goats don't run. We talked about that yesterday, Wilds.
Oh, fair point.
Goats don't run. They just sit there, get older. Talk some LeBron James. He's changing numbers again. He's ditching number 23. He's going back to the number 6 that he also wore in Miami. AD will reportedly keep 3 despite 23 becoming available. My favorite number is 12 for purposes of this story. Hey, Brandon. LeBron changing from 23 back to 6 is blank.
Listen, LeBron's such a great teammate. I don't think this is about LeBron James. Like, I was going to go with a hidden message and try to figure out what it means and how symbolic it is. But I think this is more about AD and a missed opportunity for AD. When I went from the Denver Broncos to the Miami Dolphins, 15 wasn't available. I had to play in 19, and it just felt uncomfortable to the point where my game suffered a little bit. So I truly believe this is a missed opportunity for AD. Why wouldn't you take this layup? He's giving you the alley-oop. Take number 3 so you can get back to where you were. Now, you flashed in a bubble, but this past year, I don't know what happened. So I think this is LeBron James. Like, you know what? I felt this a little bit, and I had to do a little bit of changing the numbers back in the day. So I'm going to give it back to you. And now he's sitting there saying, I'm going to stay with number 3? Nick, I don't get it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting angle, the Anthony Davis part of it. There's a lot of ways to attack this. Listen, I could use this time here to mention that LeBron James is also going to be number 6 in Space Jam, which of course comes out July 16th. You can buy your tickets now, but I'm not a shill. So instead, I'm going to talk about somebody else. This is actually great for Devin Booker. It's a boon for Booker.
Oh.
Wilds. All of a sudden, Devin Booker has in his possession the last ever LeBron James game-worn 23 jersey.
Oh,
think about that.
wow.
He has it. Like that was already a special thing in and of itself. But if that is actually the last time he ever wore a 23 jersey and Devin Booker has it, that's a hell of a coup for him. It's all coming up Suns right now on Booker. So this is, I think, a boon for Booker.
I mean, I guess so. Devin Booker also is going to sign like a $200 million extension or new contract. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the jersey's financial value.
Rich gets richer.
I have that jersey. I could.
Extra
also,
meal
you'd have to
laying
sell to
around?
someone named Devin, which is okay. Here's my thing, and Brandon, I'm going to throw it back to you, so get ready. I love this story because as much as I like watching LeBron James play, I also like trying to figure out the Easter eggs that he lays all over social media. And I'm changing my jersey. He wanted to change it. So remember, this story starts because Pat Riley decided to retire Jordan's jersey while Jordan was with the Wizards. The Wizards came to play the Heat, and Pat Riley's like, you know what? We're going to retire your jersey for the Heat. No one in the Heat will ever wear 23. So the only two teams that have Jordan's number retired are the Bulls and the Heat. And your memory is not, confusing. He never played for the Heat. So then I believe that was the impetus of why LeBron had to change his jersey. But I want to get to our friend Brandon Marshall. Brandon, you just slyly said your game suffered because you had to change to number 19. I don't think you were just kind of saying it. I think you were really out there like dropping balls.
He said that
because
before.
you looked down and you saw 19, you're like, get rid of this. And then the ball hits you in the chest. You're like, God. How did that actually play out?
Wilds, I don't know, man. You see it all the time. One player goes to another team. They pay 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 for the jersey. It's symbolic, man. Guys grow up wearing the same number. It's a mental thing. We talk about it all the time, mindset. So I don't know, man. All I know is I was a Pro Bowl player in Denver, averaging 105 catches a year, and I get to Miami, and all of a sudden I got 80 catches. It was like, I was nervous. It's like I was
Can I ask one follow-up?
Give me the ball.
Go ahead, Nick.
Just one follow-up before we get to Weird and Wonderful. Because in Denver, your quarterback was Jay Cutler. In Chicago, your quarterback was Jay Cutler. Who was the quarterback in Miami? Who was it?
Anything is possible. Your boy, anything is possible. Chad Henning.
Well, that might
Chad Pennington,
have a
Tyler
little more to do.
Thigpen.
Thigpen.
Matt Moore.
Thigpen. You could have been wearing all the numbers. They could have given Brandon infinity. It wouldn't have mattered. Thigpen's throwing you the ball. What are we talking about?
No offense.
I had 100 with Kyle Orton.
Time for Kevin Wilde's Weird and Wonderful from our national pastime. Mariners, Tigers, bottom 9. Check it out. Seattle's Jake Fraley robbing the walk-off home run. Robbing it. Not today, not on my watch, and then tosses it in for the double play. Mariners end up winning in 11 innings. That is wonderful stuff. Wilds, what else you got for us?
Oh, it's time to play America's new favorite game, catch or not a catch. Diamond A's, 2 outs, bottom of the second, 2 men on. Deep shot to center. Marte catches it, hits the wall, drops it. It is ruled, audience, it is ruled not a catch. He did not catch it. This goes down as a triple and 2 RBIs. Wasn't with the transfer. Don't worry, buddy. Keep running. You're actually on third. Oh, my gosh. Put your hat on. You're still going. It's not a hat. It's a helmet, Wild. Moving on to the wonderful. We're going to head out to the wonderful state of Wisconsin. You're always like, people are always like, Wilds, why don't you put more Wisconsin Rapids Raptors videos on the show? Well, your questions have been answered. This is from, they have Craft River seats. And look at this. The beer comes to you on a little log flume. So, fantastic job. One upgrade I think that's just regular old tap water or hose water. Make that beer too. Why not? Probably a little bit more expensive, but you know what? We don't take shortcuts in the Wisconsin Rapid Rafters. And finally, this is weird. Just a little weather update in Minnesota. The odd, hey, this is a beautiful, nice day with a rainbow and sunshine. Nope, tarp's gone. Look at this crew out there grabbing the tarp. Get the tarp back on the field. If you ever want to save some money, Major League Baseball, I would actually pay to do this. I know these guys are getting paid, and I don't want to take anyone's job, but I want to do this, and I'm willing to pay for the opportunity to do it. So there you go. That's a weird and wonderful, and a weather report coming after those Denver meteorologists in the national pastime, Jenna.
Nice callback, Wilds.
Fox Bet Sportsbook has the Dallas Cowboys as the favorites to win the NFC East. Can a healthy Dak guide them back to the top of the division? Meanwhile, second on that list is Washington. Their quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, unfazed by cicada in his beard. Brandon, come get your guy. Much more first things first right after this.
He doesn't even
That's
know.
my baby. My baby.
The cicada? The cicada?
The guy or the cicada? All right, let's stick with football now. All eyes on Dak Prescott. The Cowboys OTAs as he starts to put last year's ankle injury behind him. Dallas open for a big turnaround after they missed the playoffs last year. So where is Dak's head now heading into this season? Take a listen.
I've buried the injury, honestly, guys. You know what I mean? From the point of practice, from the point of just moving forward and going about my life, I've buried it. I've buried it mentally, and I think you guys and a lot of people around have to help me and bury it as well as we move forward.
All right, Brandon, Dak wants his injury to be a thing of the past. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, all players go through this. Is part of the process. You know, you get injured, you go through the surgery, then you start your rehab, then you start the return to play. You start getting on the field, doing some drills. But the number one thing you have to overcome, and the last thing you have to overcome, is that mental component to it of, you know what, I was injured, and that was painful. I don't think it's about, feeling good. Like, you know as a player that you're going to get injured, and you know you'll bounce back. But it's how you get injured, right? So Dak Prescott's probably thinking about it was 3rd and 2, or 3rd and 6. I take off to the left, trying to pick up the first down. Logan Ryan came, pulled me down, and I snapped my leg. And that's what you think about. So the next time he's in that position, that's what he's going to be thinking about. I remember going across the middle, I think it was Sunday Night Football, and Jay Cutler threw me a nice little seam route, and I came down with it. And when I hit the ground, the safety's knee went right into my back, 2 broken ribs, collapsed lung. An hour later, with no anesthesia, no type of drugs,
Here we go.
they just put a tube in my lung. So, yeah, I know you guys love when I'm talking about injuries, but they did that. They cut it, and they just put a tube in. And that's the only thing I thought about as I was coming back. I was like, when I'm going across the middle, am I going to break another rib? So that is Dak Prescott. This all makes sense. He has to get over this last hurdle.
And Brandon,
Literally
correct
did
me if
not
I'm
hear
wrong.
anything you said for the last 15 seconds, Brandon.
Listen, you guys have all watched, Chicago Fire. They do that type of stuff all the time. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. That feeling and that apprehension lessened the more you got hit after. It's like that first hit, first hit after, you're really worried about it. So listen, I get what Dak's doing. Dak's telling the media, don't bring up old stuff. But the fact of the matter is, it's OTAs and mini camp in the offseason. No one's allowed to hit you. So all there is to talk about is old stuff. I don't think Dak will be asked much about his injury at once the season gets going. If he plays great, there could be the Kevin Durant, Jared Greenberg type of moment, Jenna, where someone's like, hey, did you ever think you'd get back to this level? But I do think that for Dak, it's going to be important for him to get hit, for him to run out of the pocket on a 3rd and 6, as Brandon was talking about, get pulled down and hop right back up. I think you saw it this year with an even worse injury with Alex Smith. Remember, they put Alex Smith in the game, and immediately Aaron Donald is jumping on his back, and then Alex Smith got up, and obviously he's not going to play anymore, but he was able to get through it. So I think that's where this is at. I also think, to be fair to the Dallas media, while I'm sure a lot of them, quietly do root for the Cowboys, It's not their job, really, to help or hurt Dak in any fashion. It's just their job to ask the questions they think their readers or viewers want the answers to. And right now, Jenna, a lot of those questions are about Dak's health.
Yep. Well, a lot of questions in Green Bay about this guy right here. Second-year quarterback Jordan Love. He's getting plenty of reps with the ones with no Aaron Rodgers around. Here he was yesterday on how he's approaching this minicamp.
My mindset this whole offseason has been to get ready and get myself ready. And that's been my mindset since I got here. And, whether Aaron was here or not here, that's going to be my mindset regardless, because I have to get myself ready to play. I was drafted here to play quarterback, so I'll definitely be ready week 1.
All right. Love got some rave reviews at yesterday's practice. Was so hot, in fact, he reportedly was being fanned by one of the coaches. Not dramatic at all. Hey, Wilds, what do you make of the rave reviews for Jordan Love at Packers minicamp yesterday?
Well, I make that I'm totally confused by them, because 24 hours before that, here was from Rob Demoski. Jordan Love's first crack at the 2-minute drill that we've seen barely gets past midfield and ends with him skying a pass over wide open Malik Taylor's head on 4th and 7 from the plus-minus 46. Brandon, I'm totally confused on what to make of the reporting on Jordan Love. And I understand that all reporters have a job, and if, the team is playing, you have to, and people are interested in Jordan Love, you want to write about Jordan Love. I do question this. Is it fair for us to be reporting on practices? Is it fair for us to be, I'm going to rephrase that. It is fair to be reporting on practice. Is it fair for the audience to start taking judgments on practice? Does that make more sense? Because I do think that the reporters have a responsibility to report what they see. But as someone who's reading those reports, is it fair for me to be like, Jordan Love doesn't look awesome or doesn't look great? And is it fair to Jordan Love to be like, man, I'm practicing. That's why it's called practice. If I knew I was going to be judged, I would take less risks on stuff. Like, where is my, for lack of a better term, safe space to kind of try stuff out?
Yeah, I think it's fair but you got to always remember that practice is scripted. So at the end of the night, the last thing that these coaches do is they script the next practice. So you'll see offense go out, they'll take the field, the scout team, practice squad players will be on the other side, not the number 1 guys, not the number 2 guys, maybe a handful of number 2 guys, and they're literally told what to do. You're going to drop to cover 3. We want you to play the corner, so we want to get this look at the flat. And offensively, we are calling plays to beat that play. So that's why last year when you heard people saying, Jordan Love is not looking great at practice, that's why it was a big deal. Now, on the flip side of that, to show love, to be fair to Jordan Love, is when you're on the practice squad, right? So we got to know where it's coming from. Was he taking reps with the starters, or was he on the practice squad? Because if you're on the practice squad and you're lighting it up, then that means your defense is trash. If you're on a practice squad and you look bad, you can't take too much away from that, because on the sideline, you have all the defensive backs saying, okay, here's the next 4 plays. They're going to run this play, so I want you to drop here. You're going to drop there. So it's a lot of crap at practice because it's scripted. So you just have to know the circumstances. If they're on the practice squad, they're just practice dummies. If they're on the 1s and 2s, they should look really good. Yikes. So for Jordan Love, Nick, to go out there and light it up with the 1s and 2s, it does say a lot, right? Because, this is a big moment for him. This is a big moment for this organization. That's right.
But this is, and you're being kind here, but listen, here's the way to evaluate NFL practice, having obviously never been a part of it, but I used to be one of the guys who had to be out there in the hot sun covering these interminable training camp and mini camps and charting plays. It was the worst job. I did that. So all the love to the people who got to do it. Oh, my God. Here's the thing. If a guy's really, really good at practice, it means very little. If a guy's bad at practice, it means a lot. Because of Brandon's point. If you're playing with the starters on the offensive side, the practice is set up for you to succeed. So do I take a ton from Jordan Love playing great yesterday? I take a little. I take more from Wilds, what he was talking about 2 days ago when Love was really struggling, when everything is set up for him to succeed. But to me, Jenna or Brandon, the most interesting and important thing he said was the end of that soundbite. Because Jordan Love understands what Aaron Rodgers understands, what the Packers front office is trying to muddy the waters so other people don't understand. I was drafted to play quarterback. And right now, the quarterback hierarchy, he's getting all the reps at once because it said in the report, Blake Bortles and Kurt didn't get a lot of reps. Well, thankfully, they didn't get a lot of reps. But Jordan Love understands, guys, they took me in the first round to be the starting quarterback here. I am now having the opportunity to be the starting quarterback here. The reason Aaron Rodgers is not there is because he knows what I know. They drafted me to be the starting quarterback, so this is my opportunity to be that starting quarterback, Brandon.
Listen, and here's the cool thing that's happening right now. You're seeing him elevate. You're seeing his demeanor change. One thing you know as a player, or you'll learn quickly, as soon as you get out the car in the parking lot, you're being evaluated. And as soon as you get back in the car after practice, after meetings, and you go back in the community, you're still being evaluated. There's fans and there's people in the community reporting back to the team saying, hey, this guy was great. This guy left an amazing team, treated me good. This guy wasn't good. So you have to understand that. So for Jordan Love, I say all that to say this. When you saw him in that press conference, look at his demeanor. Look at his body language. This is a guy that was a rookie last year now saying this is my team. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, but I got to do everything I can do right now to lead this team. Even in practice, the drills that he's going through, you see the pop. Look how quick the sense of urgency. You're always being evaluated as a professional athlete. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, multi-million-dollar athletes, so everything counts. So when you get on that field, it matters, and you're seeing Jordan Love take things to a whole nother level. It's not his fault that he was drafted, so we can't continue to crush him. We just need to see who he's going to be moving forward, Jenna.
But it might be his fault if he can't run a 2-minute drill. But I don't know. Hey, let's talk some Giannis. Is tonight's Game 3 the biggest game of the Greek Freak's career? We'll discuss that next. But first, take a listen to DeAndre Hopkins' response to a question about him and Julio both being traded for second-round picks. Listen to this.
I would like to see a first-round pick that could do what Julio and myself do. But, guys are pretty good. The receiver core, receiver groups, coming out of college, they're a little bit more advanced than I was back in my days, even though I only had, however many touchdowns, 15 so touchdowns. But, you got guys like, Justin Jefferson who came in balling as a rookie. So, there's definitely some guys that can do what Julio and myself do. But I'm surprised, that Julio, I know, I was only coming off a first team All-Pro, so I kind of figured I might only go for a second round. But I was surprised a guy like Julio would only go for a second rounder.
Back here, first things first, with our guy Chris Broussard, and we are talking tonight's Game 3 in Milwaukee. Hey, it's been total domination thus far from Kevin Durant and the Nets. They've done it without James Harden. Will have to do so again tonight. Team already announced Harden will not play, still nursing that hamstring. For Giannis, it appears to be now or never. He's part of this group of two-time MVPs without a title, along with Steve Nash and Karl Malone. So, Broussard, what's on the line for Giannis in tonight's Game 3?
Jenna, pride and reputation. Pride and reputation. There's no shame in losing to a better team. And at this point, even Nick understands the Brooklyn's just a better team. All right, even without James Harden, they've still got 2 of the 3 best players on the floor. And the gap between the 3rd best player, Kyrie Irving, and the 4th, Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton, whichever one you want to pick, is huge. All right, so he's up against a better team. No shame in losing that. Entering these playoffs, I said, look, there's pressure on Giannis. He's definitely got to get them past Miami in the first round. But if they lose to Brooklyn, it's understandable. We see what Brooklyn is. But he's got to go down swinging. All right, other great players have Michael Jordan, LeBron James, many other greats have lost playoff series to better teams, but they balled out in losing. And when you look at Giannis, the fact is the past 2 playoffs, he has not balled out. He's gone out with a whimper. All right, last year, of course, Miami, he averaged 21 points a game. The one game that the Bucks won, he only played 11 minutes. So they actually played better without him in that series. And then 2 years ago, of course, they lose 4 straight to Toronto while he's shooting 43% and averaging 20 points a game in those 4 games. So Giannis has to ball out. If they lose, they lose. But he's got to make Brooklyn feel him and understand they're playing one of the best players in the world. And I say pride and recognition because we know what Giannis is at this point in his career. We know he's a tremendously talented, versatile 7-footer who can't shoot on the perimeter and is not a full-time post player. All right, so that type of player, he's only going to go so far now, we know, in the playoffs until he gets a superstar wingman. He needs a Kyrie Irving, a Dame Lillard to play next to him to do the things he can't do. No shame, because a lot of great 7-footers have been like that. Shaq never won it without Kobe or D. Wade. Kareem never won it without Oscar Robertson or Magic Johnson. And they didn't shoot on the perimeter, so they needed somebody to get them to rock. Giannis is not a post player like those guys, but he can't shoot. So he's limited in how far he can carry a team.
Chris, you know how much I love Giannis. I think that's letting him off the hook a bit. Remember, before the playoffs, we did the list of who has the most to gain by winning a championship. And I ranked Giannis number 1, and I don't know if you had him number 1, but you didn't think it was a crazy ranking. And you said, I don't know if it was on or off the air, but you said, if Giannis and the Bucks go through Miami, then Brooklyn, then Philly, and then we both thought the Lakers, but whomever comes out of the West, you start talking about him as, what does he need to do to be in the discussion of a Mount Rushmore type of player? What does he have to do to be in the discussion of one of the 10 greatest players ever at the end of his career? Because he would have already had the MVPs, the Defensive Player of the Year, and then a title without the super-duper co-star. And so I'm not saying the expectation was that, but if that's what he had to gain from a long, great run, what he has to lose from if they get swept by the Nets or go down 0-3 to the Nets, which means the series is over, is massive. Right. When we talk about the best players in basketball, the hardest one, and Brandon, this isn't a shot at your Nets, just follow me on this. The hardest guy up to this point to evaluate has been Harden, because Harden was this quadruple plus regular season player who it seemed like almost every year the postseason ended with like a 2 for 12, 9 turnover game, or with him going, 7 for 19 and not getting the free throw line. And so when you talk about the guys who are going to be there, it's LeBron, it's KD, it's Kawhi, it's Steph, it's Embiid. At this point, I give the credit. It's Jokic, it's Dame, it's Luka. Right. Those are your 8 guys that are going to translate regular season to postseason. Giannis is the opposite of that right now. And if there is no excuse tonight, Brandon, like Kawhi's on him, Bam's on him. It's Blake Griffin on him. So even if the Bucks lose, Giannis has to enforce his will on this basketball game, or else what he does in the regular season for the remainder of his career are going to feel somewhat meaningless.
But he can do that. We saw him go for 40-something points against Miami in the first round. I think what's on the line here is the perception of who Giannis is. And Chris, you said at this point we kind of know who he is. I don't know if everybody's willing to accept that. But the perception is that this guy can lead you to a title as is. And he can't. He absolutely can't get it done. Right. Look, here's the deal. You said something interesting yesterday, and then you just touched on it today. Giannis needs to put his back to the basket. He needs to get in the post. If you go back and watch Game 1, he was unstoppable. So when you're talking about imposing your will, go back to Game 1. When he caught the ball in the post, he scored at will. They couldn't do nothing with him. But the reality is he needs to develop a shot, or hell, don't develop a shot. Just develop the game in the post and get that wingman that you said. Hell, maybe even a Steph Curry. Steph Curry could possibly be out there. You know, I don't know if they probably can't get it done. They just doubled down on Drew Holiday and a couple others. But at the end of the day, the perception is on the line right now. They're not the better team. We saw that. They can't match up against the Nets, especially with the Nets playing this type of defense, Wilds.
Okay. I'm going to take a breath from everybody. This team has played 5 times matchup in playoffs and regular season. The home team has never lost. Giannis in the regular season was averaging Wilt Chamberlain-esque, like 40 points a game. What has happened in these last 2 games is not a referendum on Giannis, even though he scored in the teens last game. It's a referendum on a cold shooting streak that from Chris Middleton and everybody else on the three-point line. So they shot in like 26%. At home, they shoot 39% from 3. Once they get some of home cooking, the good kind, I think they'll be totally fine. And we'll be like, look at Giannis defending home court, just like we thought we were. Broussard, you've been around long enough that you know the playoff series doesn't start until someone steals a home game or steals home court advantage, except this one all of a sudden. Because I think the blowout is sort of like clouding people's sort of historical perspective. It's fine. You lost 2 games on the road. You're supposed to go home and win. If he lays an egg here, which I don't expect him to, sure. But I think like sort of writing Giannis's like superstar eulogy is far premature since they just lost 2 games on the road. It's not a big deal.
Well, first of all, I love that saying, a series doesn't start until a team loses at home. What if a team never loses at home? I mean, you could literally have a 7-game series.
7.
Neither team lost.
Yeah.
It doesn't. That series that never made sense to me. All right, you could. So a series never started and it ended 4-3. But anyway, I'm with you, Wilds, in that Giannis is going to be a superstar. I don't care what he does in these few games that they got remaining. He's not going to fall from being a superstar. He'll still be a superstar, but he can't shoot. And here's the thing. You mentioned the 40-point average or against the Nets and all that when they beat him late in the season. What did he do in those games? He hit the jumper. The Nets put DeAndre Jordan on him, had DeAndre stay in the paint and dared him to shoot, and he hit the jump. I think one game he hit 4 threes, which is huge for him. So, yeah, he can get hot for a game, for a couple of games, and if he does that, they got a great chance to win. But he won't do it for a whole series. He won't do it for a whole postseason where the jumper is falling and teams are just going to – man, I give him from 15 feet out, he can shoot as much as he wants. And I'm banking on him not hitting those shots.
And Wilds, I don't think this series is over. I'm not writing the Bucks obituary. I'm talking about if Giannis plays poorly today. Because they're not playing DeAndre Jordan. The Nets don't have the personnel to build a wall. I know Blake's been a great story, but Blake Griffin should not be able to slow him down. Giannis needs to tell Bud, I'm playing 22 minutes in the first half and 22 minutes in the second half. Don't take me out more than that. Thanasis will have my water ready for me. And every time Blake Griffin is on me, I'm going to the rim. And if that means I got to shoot 20 free throws, then I got to shoot 20 free throws. But if we're going to go down, we're going down through me. Yes, Middleton. Yes, Holiday. Yes, Bryn Forbes need to shoot better and play better. But I can't rely on that. I need to pencil in for myself 40 points tonight because they got nobody on this team that can stop me. And Jenna, if he can't do that against this Nets defense, then what are we talking about for Giannis moving forward? I hope he does it. I think he can do it. I'm going to pick the Bucks tonight. I think he will do it. But if he doesn't, it's a big problem for them. A big problem, not just for this series, but for the near future.
All right, well, we are going to transition from Nick's plea to Giannis to play more minutes to Nick's continuing plea for an NBA award vote. Rudy Gobert showed why he won the Defensive Player of the Year in Game 1. Saved the game with the block on Marcus Morris. Gobert ran away with the vote. Ben Simmons was next closest, and then Trey right there.
Yeah.
Nick, your ballot gave Simmons the edge over Rudy, then bam, what happened here?
Well, the voters once again gave the award to the second place finisher. Much like they did league MVP, there's a couple of these awards where they got it wrong by one. It's not a terrible ballot by the awards voters. I'm sure Broussard, with his, the cliquey group think of these NBA voters, of course you did. Of course you did, because you do the popular thing. You do the easy thing. You don't want to take the bold stance of giving the award to the man who deserves it, Ben Simmons. That's all right. All Ben Simmons is going to do is shut down Ice Trae Young for the next 3 games of this series as the Sixers gentlemen sweep the Hawks out of the playoffs. That's all. That's fine. Don't give me a vote. Just send me that suit. Awesome 3-button look.
Gobert
All right, we're going to head out
anchors
west.
a defense.
CP3 with an historic performance in the Game 2 win. Is he out to prove he deserved to win MVP over the Joker? That's next. This is First Things First. Back here with Chris Broussard, talking Nuggets, Suns, Game 2. Phoenix continues to look like one of the best teams, one of the most balanced teams in the playoffs, led by one Chris Paul. How about the Suns with 6 guys in double figures? That's why they rolled to a 25-point win. Oh, here's another reason why Nuggets didn't show up. Here's head coach Michael Malone.
Saw one team that wanted to be here and play with a purpose and urgency, and one team that did not want to be here and play with no urgency. And that's why we got our ass kicked. This was an embarrassing performance from myself all the way through the last player. We're walking out of here with our heads held down, rightfully so. And there's a reason that their crowd is yelling Suns in 4 and they're calling for a sweep, because if we play like this back in Denver, this is going to be a really quick series. I felt we quit tonight, which is something you never want to see. So I guess for Game 3, I'm just going to try to find guys that will at least go out there and leave it all on the line. I may have a hard time coming up with 5 guys that fill that, but these 2 games, these second halves, have really been disappointing, and that's an understatement.
Wow. All right, well, let's get back to CP3 and how great he's been. It's his 3rd playoff game with 15 points, 15 assists, no turnovers. Only J. Kidd and Magic Johnson have even had one such game since 1991. So, Broussard, what's the bigger takeaway from Game 2? CP3 or Michael Malone just ripping his own team?
I'm going to be honest with you, Jenna. Neither is my biggest takeaway. Chris Paul's been terrific, as you said. 17 points, 15 dimes, no turnovers. He's been awesome. But you know what? He's doing what he should do to a couple of backups. All right, he's going against Facundo Campazzo, a 30-year-old rookie, and Austin Rivers, who was on a 10-day contract a month and a half ago. I mean, he should be destroying them. And I'm taking nothing away from Chris, but let's look at the facts. All right? And then Mike Malone. I've known Mike Malone since he was an assistant on Jeff Van Gundy's staff. Mike Malone is a tough, feisty
get it right, Broussard.
fighter. All right?
He's going to get mad at you.
He can get mad. I've played ball with Mike. All right? I love Mike. All right? When he goes at his team, he is disgusted. You saw him on that tape. He looked calm. I mean, his words were fierce, but he looked calm. Believe me, he is disgusted with what he is seeing from his team. And he knows, look, we may be overmatched, but we got to get out there and fight. There's no excuse for us not to show up. My biggest takeaway, though, I'm not surprised that Mike said that. He should. That's good coaching to me. Call him out. All right? But my biggest takeaway is it's 1-on-3 or 1-on-5. Nikola Jokic is out there by himself. All right? He's the only player on Denver to score more than 11 points, only player to grab more than 6 rebounds, only starter to shoot 50% or better from the field.
Don't even believe what he's saying.
I do believe this. They are overmatched.
I see where this
He's
is
out
going.
there with Austin Rivers wasn't in the league 2 months ago. Campazzo's a 30-year-old rookie. Michael Porter, his wingman, his second guy, Michael Porter Jr., is 22 years old, starting for the first time in the playoffs. and he's counted on to give him 20-plus points and fill Jamal Murray's shoes, there's levels to this, Nick, and you're seeing it. The deeper you go, the more people get exposed. Porter Jr. is a future star, but he ain't ready right now.
Yeah. But you know who is ready? Evidently, DeAndre Ayton, who has all the playoff experience of the first round of these playoffs. And that's it.
He's a third guy.
Wait a minute.
There's no pressure on him.
And he is playing, your MVP damn near to a draw. So we can talk about Campazzo and Austin Rivers. Yes.
Stop it.
Okay, well, DeAndre Ayton is giving 18 and 10 on 62%. Jokic is going 23 and 11 on 48%. And Jokic, the greatest passing big man since Bill Walton, has 9 total assists in the 2 games. That's 4.5 a game. So, so what you're seeing is typically in these series, Broussard, if it's 1-on-5 and the 1 is the league MVP, even if they lose with that guy doing, I don't know, let's think of an example. What Dame did in the last round, where it's, okay, we're going to lose, but I'm going to be a monster. What we saw LeBron do in the 2018 with Cleveland, when Kevin Love was in and out of the lineup, Kyrie was gone, Jeff Green was his best co-star. He's like, all right, I guess I got to go for 40 every single night. We might lose, but it ain't going to be because I didn't produce. The best player in this series has been Chris Paul, because he was the most valuable player in the league this year. And this is a really rough spot for it. It's a rough spot, but wild. You know what I didn't hear from Michael Malone? You know what I didn't hear? The confidence of a coach who thinks he has the league's best player. Because if you actually think your guy is the MVP of the league, the best player in the league this year, you know what you say? Listen, our effort was terrible tonight. Nobody played well, but we're going home. We've got the best guy in the whole league. In fact, he's about to get an award that cements that. So I trust that he is going to be able to rally our guys, rally our team, and when we come back to Phoenix, it's 2-2. Instead, Michael Malone's like, well, might get swept. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I mean, nobody, the only guy he said good things about was Will Barton. That's Mike Malone, Nicola's coach. So he can wear that T-shirt all he wants. But I am actually listening to his words. He doesn't seem to think he has the best player in the league. He doesn't seem to think he has the best player in the series, because he doesn't.
Wow, okay. That was not my takeaway. My takeaway was that Michael Malone, was just trying to go for the nuclear option. He's like, all right, we're totally outgunned here. Our best player is the MVP. He's out there, but he's not doing enough, according to Nick. I think he's doing plenty. Our second best player is on crutches and was shooting threes. Was warming up. It's nice to see him, but he's not going to play. And Michael Porter Jr. had back tightness, which was a little side note, but seemed to really hamper his game. They don't got it. And just like the Lakers didn't have enough, if you don't have your full contingent of guys, you can't beat a balanced team like the Suns. And granted, Brandon, it's always bad when the opposing fans start doing the wave while you're still playing the game. So shout out to the Suns. They were sort of running away and having fun. So the question I have for you is this, Brandon. If you were in that locker room, would Michael Malone's pretty harsh ripping of their effort work? Is this going to work at all? What do you think?
Absolutely. No, it absolutely works. I mean, that type of message falls on deaf ears when you hear it over and over and over again. There's some players, there's some coaches, that's all they want to do is yell, 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 scream, 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 scream. And people tune you out. Michael Malone, I got it right, Nick. It's not Mike, right? Chris, get it right. I don't care if you play basketball. The man wants to be called Michael Malone. Call the man Michael Malone. Call the man Michael Malone. But here's the deal. Look, what you want to see in that locker room, and he might be, Coach Malone may be talking to the Joker, right? There was a shot of the Joker on the sideline when they're down by 20 points in the fourth quarter, and he's doing this twiddling his fingers on his head. And he's not like standing up and having that same energy that Coach Malone had after the game. You would never see some of the superstars being down 0-2 just sitting there taking it. There has to be a moment, that Embiid moment, where you're telling Danny Green, get up there. What are you doing? Go press him. There has to be that CP3 moment where he's screaming at Ayton, what are you doing? Let's go. Communicate. Defense. Yep. And you're not seeing that out the Joker. So, look, it works. He's sending a message. It may be to the Joker. It may be to a few people in that locker room. Because, Nick, you know when you walk in that locker room if guys have it tonight or they don't. You know how they putting their clothes on. You know if they're sticking to the routine. Yeah. You know when you walk in there. And there's certain things that you can control. You may not be able to control falling down 0-2 to a better team, but you can control your effort. You can control diving on the ground and getting the ball. You can control that. You can control rebounding.
And I think he was specifically actually talking to Michael Porter Jr. And I know we're short on time. Just real quick for Broussard. We only have like 30 seconds, Broussard. Is it too late for you to change your MVP vote? Can you do that, or is it not allowed now? I don't know.
Look, Nick, I know you need a W. With the Lakers out, with the Bucks on their way out, I know you need a win. But this ain't it, brother.
That series isn't over.
Okay. I am proud of my votes. Jokic MVP.
The Suns appear in control here. That series shifting back to Denver. Game 3 tomorrow night. We'll see what they can do. Back talking Tom Brady now. Is it possible, coming off the knee surgery, the GOAT will improve in year 22? Actually get better. Have that for you next. First things first. Thank you, Chris Broussard. Back here with former head coach Eric Mangini on a Thursday morning. Coach, good to have you with us. Big doings out in Dallas. Mini camp underway. Dak Prescott back up and running. Trying desperately, Dak is, to put last year's ankle injury behind him. Dallas needs a healthy Dak to improve on last year's 6-10 season. So where is Dak's head now heading into this season? Take a listen.
I've buried the injury, honestly, guys. You know me, from the point of practice, from the point of just moving forward and going about my life, I've buried it. I've buried it mentally, and I think you guys and a lot of people around have to help me and bury it as well as we move forward.
All right, Brandon, start with you. What was your reaction to that from Dak?
Yeah, this is the 400 hurdles, and this is the last hurdle that you got to get over as an athlete when you're coming back from an injury, return to play. So you go back to that game against the Giants. It was 3rd down and maybe 6th or 7th. It was a big moment in the game. The pocket collapsed. Dak Prescott breaks the pocket. He goes out, scrambles to the left, takes off, try to pick it up. Logan Ryan pulled him down, snapped his tibia. And from that moment, boom, right now as an athlete, you got to kick into recovery. You go into surgery, and you got to have the mental toughness, the mental fortitude to pick yourself back up. And that's the easy part. It's not about being injured, because as an athlete, you know you're going to get injured. You've been injured 1,000 times, and you've gotten back to a place where you can compete at a high level. The biggest thing in those type of moments, in those situations, is how it happened. You know, like you're talking about his leg being turned sideways. That was gruesome for a lot of people. You see players and coaches on the side that couldn't even look at the injury and look at his leg. So I think it was less about, him coming back from an ankle injury and more so about how it happened. So I think the last hurdle for him is just getting out there, being hit, being touched, being able to be in the huddle and feel good. So, I understand what Dak Prescott's going through. That was a big moment for him, and that was a big moment for this Dallas Cowboys team, Coach.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a big difference between being confident in yourself and convincing yourself that something's true. And I don't love the fact that he's asking people to not remind him of his injury. That's only going to elicit lots of reminders from everybody in the division and everybody they play. And he talked about getting over the injury. He knew he was over it during Cinco de Mayo when he was dancing. And we never used that gauge when I was a head coach of the trainers in terms of evaluating injuries progress. But that's the one that he used. But it's going to be different moving away from Tampa Bay's D-line or Washington's D-line. I think that's one hurdle. I think the other hurdle that he faces is he was there 5 games, so he hasn't really worked significantly with McCarthy, and that's something. And then the money, the contract, the $75 million in cash he'll be paid this year. That comes with a significant amount of pressure. So there's a lot of hurdles that he's facing going into this season. And as much as he's saying he's over the injury, until you do something in live action and until you do it actually multiple times, you're not really over it.
Well, that's right. And there was a tell in his comments. And by the way, I think Dak's going to be fine. Dak's going to get hit. He's going to pop up, and he'll start to actually truly bury it. But you don't ask for people's help with a project that's already completed. I'm not like, Wilds, I moved out of my house this weekend. I need your help with packing. It's like, wait, you said you already did it. He said, I buried the injury. I need your guys' help in burying it. So that's the tell of he's trying to speak it into existence, the idea that I'm over it. He's not fully over it. And by the way, that is not a judgment. I can't use Brandon talked earlier. He got hit once, it broke his rib, and he wasn't fully over it until he got hit again. That's obviously never happened to me. And for the audience, the non-athletes, it's like if you maybe drink too much one night. You're like, oh, I'll never drink that again. Then you drink it again. You're like, okay, I'm better now. It's fine. It doesn't make me sick anymore.
That's a great example.
So, like that's the thing. It's like, oh, God. But then you taste it, and you're like, oh, tequila's still delicious. And Dak won't, Jenna, really be over this until he gets pulled down again. Maybe pulled down in the same way. His leg's fine. But I do think he has the right mindset. But I don't think he's yet fully there, and I don't think he can be there until people start hitting him again.
All right, we're going to head to Wisconsin, where we're going to send another beer down the flume for you, Nick, or tequila. Just shots of tequila. Let's head to Green Bay.
Lobos, please.
Check in on second-year quarterback Jordan Love. Brandon likes the body language, likes what he sees. He's getting plenty of reps with the ones. Aaron Rodgers is not there, so this is on Jordan Love. Here was Love yesterday on how he's approaching this minicamp.
My mindset this whole offseason has been to get ready and get myself ready, and that's been my mindset since I got here. And, whether Aaron was here or not here, that's going to be my mindset regardless, because I have to get myself ready to play. I was drafted here to play quarterback, so I'll definitely be ready week one.
All right, Brandon, what do you make of the rave reviews for Jordan Love? He got rave reviews at yesterday's practice. He was so hot, he reportedly was being fanned by one of the coaches. What do you make of it?
I love this. This is making me smile, man. We've been crushing this kid since the day he was drafted. This is a huge moment. This has been this kid's dream since he was probably a little boy, 7, 8 years old, to make it to the National Football League, to strap it up and be a quarterback. And all we talk about is Aaron Rodgers, and why they shouldn't have drafted him. So I absolutely love his demeanor, his body language. Coach, you can attest to this. You know, as soon as you get out that car in the parking lot and you walk into that facility, that building, you guys, coaches evaluating everything. He's watching where you sit in the cafeteria. He's watching who you sit with and what you're eating. He's watching how you conduct yourself, how you're conversating with people. And his body language, his whole demeanor has changed. Now, we didn't see a lot of him last year, but seeing him in that press conference, he looked like he was going from a young man to a man and to a quarterback and a CEO. I'm the general. And look at his body language on the field. It all matters. Routes on air, throwing to the coach, all that matters. You didn't see this type of sense of urgency in this zip. I absolutely love what I'm seeing from Jordan Love. This means a lot to this organization. They need to figure this out with Aaron Rodgers. But if not, they got this kid right here who seems to be embracing this opportunity.
Yeah, I love the play-by-play from OTAs. We had some unbelievable OTAs and then some really poor seasons. I wish you could carry over what you did with you're in shorts, everything's controlled, it's scripted, nobody's rushing the passer, the coverages are as basic as possible. So so you're going to have some good days. But that being said, Aaron Rodgers has done Jordan Love and the Packers such a huge favor by not being there. They're giving him all these reps when he didn't have those reps last year. He didn't get to play in preseason games. He didn't get to play during the year. He's done such a favor for Jordan Love because it does give him a chance to develop significantly, to work with the guys, to be in the huddle, and to be so much better prepared if he ends up being the starter. And as much as we make a big deal about Aaron Rodgers not being there, for the head coach, he has to deal with the 30 minutes of the press conference, and then he goes back and he deals with the team that's there. And he's actually excited for the opportunity to work Jordan Love as much as he's been able to.
So the weird thing, Coach, is that the rave reviews from yesterday have not been rave reviews for the entire minicamp. Can we show the other tweet that was a little posted prior to the rave reviews? It was just that Jordan Love's first crack at 2-minute drill barely gets past midfield. Sends them skying a pass over wide. Malik Taylor, he was wide open. Come on. So I think there's a responsibility for all reporters and all Packers media to sort of feed the content beast of the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, saga. How much am I, as a consumer of this content, supposed to take from this? Am I supposed to be like, wow, looked good, he's ready, they don't need Aaron Rodgers. Oh, he doesn't look good, they screwed up the draft pick. All that it's practice. Like, how am I supposed to view these reports, Coach?
You're supposed to review them or look at them as entertainment. That's all it is. And there's such a crazy difference between what's going on right now and what happens even in preseason games and the speed, the tempo, and then once you get in the regular season, things change so much more, and the things you have to deal with are dramatically different, and the pressure is different. Right now, it's beautiful weather. Everything is set up for him to be successful. And look, don't underestimate that either. The coaches will script for success, especially for a young quarterback.
There you go.
So that the guys around him believe in him. They want everybody to see Jordan having as much success as possible so that they're collectively going, okay, we'll be all right with him. There's always an element of setting up some softballs for guys to hit out of the park, especially if you've got a lot invested in them.
Yeah, and Coach, I'm glad that you're pulling back the curtain a little bit, because a lot of times we don't know what all goes into coaching and preparing for, a practice or the week or a game plan. And one of the last things you guys do every single day, every single night, is actually script the plays and script the next day. Everything's scripted down to the minute. Like, all right, this minute we're going to be on this field, this part of the field. This is the drill we're going to do. So when you talk about scripting for success, while your question as far as like as a consumer, what am I supposed to be following? How should I take this? You got to understand what is what when it's coming out of practice. The 2-minute drill that you referred to, a lot of times that's live. A lot of times that's real, where you throw, all right, here's our number 1 offense versus our number 2 defense, and the defensive coordinator is going to call it up and dial it up, and the offensive coordinator is going to dial it up, and we're going to see what happens. So you want to see this kid succeed in those moments. But then when we're talking about 7-on-7, we're talking about 11-on-11, those things are scripted, like Coach said. That's scripted for success. We know that this is going to be cover 3. I know that I got a clear route. I'm not getting the ball, so I know this corner route is probably going to come open. So the quarterback, Jay Cutler, is going to look at the corner to the flat. So I know the job, and everybody on the field knows it. So as a consumer, you just have to understand what part of practice you're looking at and what they're talking about, Nick.
Yeah, I think in a lot of these things, and this is where it's a tough spot if you're a player, rave reviews are far less meaningful than negative reviews. Because it is, as Coach was saying, as Brandon then amplified, it is set up for success. So you take a little bit from guys, the offensive side of the ball, succeeding, but you can maybe take a lot when they don't, when it is obviously going to be far more difficult circumstances in a game or against a team that is not, you're not, scheming, I shouldn't say scheming, but you're not scripting is the word I was looking for, exactly what you're going to be doing on offense and defense. Brandon, to me, the most meaningful part of this of Jordan Love's comments were when he said, I was drafted to play quarterback. He seems to recognize what Aaron Rodgers seems to recognize, what Brian Gutekunst and the Packers front office is trying to do a little shell game to make it seem like it's not the case. Jordan Love's like, hey, guys, I was a first-round pick. They traded up to get me in an era where quarterbacks always play immediately. That's why I'm here.
Right.
So what do you want from me?
Right.
And I don't blame Jordan at all, obviously, but I also don't blame Rodgers for reading it the exact way Jordan read it. You drafted him to play quarterback. So now he's going to play quarterback, and I'm going to watch from afar and see what you do with me if I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, I love everything that's coming out of Packers camp right now when it comes to Jordan Love, his demeanor, his sense of urgency, how he's conducting himself in front of the cameras. I absolutely love it. It's like, look, I don't care about that. Right now is next man up. Aaron Rodgers is not walking in this building this offseason. Hell, he may not ever walk in here again. This is my team, so I absolutely love that. Now let's see what he does. Let's see these reports. Let's see if those fire emojis continue to come out of Packers camp from people that's watching, some people who's covering this team. Last year, that was a big deal. It was all bad. Why? Because he was stinking it up. That's why what Patrick Mahomes did was so significant, because his rookie year, Nick, as you know, it was like, oh my God, this kid is amazing.
Unbelievable.
It was scripted. They knew where he was supposed. They're telling Patrick Mahomes where to throw the ball. He still was ripping up that defense. So we want to see Jordan Love do it on the other side. So if he does that, the Packers could be in good position.
All right. Let's take a turn. Nick's going to hand out some NBA playoff medals. The Joker, 24 points, 13 boards, 6 assists last night in Game 2. But the Nuggets lost again. It was not pretty. And thus, Joker missed out on a medal. Nick, which 3 guys did it better?
Well, 3 guys on the winning team. Only 1 game last night, so an all-Suns podium. Bronze medal, DeAndre Ayton. 15 and 10 for DeAndre Ayton. Another game where he gives you just enough in comparison to Joker to let the Suns' clearly superior backcourt lead him home. Speaking of that backcourt, Devin Booker, he's kind of more of a wing, tweener, backcourt, frontcourt. 18 and 10 for Devin Booker. Quiet game, but still good enough for a silver. And then the gold. The guy who should be able to hang this gold medal around the MVP award he should have won, Chris Paul, 17, 15, 0 turnovers in this series so far. He now has 26 assists and 1 turnover. That's what the point god does. Coach, I know you were watching, stayed up late to watch the game. Your thoughts on the medal stand?
I can't get enough NBA basketball. My gold medal goes to the post-game press conference of Michael Malone. To me,
it does.
He kept it real. It's one of those things where when you get blown out like that in playoff, whether it's playoff anything, and you don't have the effort, you don't have the intensity, you don't have the resilience. That's a problem. And you may look at it and say, well, you need to do a better job getting those guys motivated. But the one thing about the playoffs is it's as real a sports moment as you can get. And if you have guys that need to get motivated to play hard in the playoffs, then you probably have the wrong guys. And his honesty and his bluntness and the realness with that, I think is the exact message they needed to hear.
If only Denver had an MVP to motivate the team.
For the whole truth, nothing but the truth from Michael Malone. Wilds, who just missed the cut?
Hey, Joker had a good pass. Chris Paul had a good pass, but Candace Parker had the pass of the night, Chicago Sky. Great job, Candace Parker. Best pass of the night. Missed the cut.
By far.
Candace.
By far. 2-time MVP, Candace Parker. Hey, back talking another 2-time MVP, the Greek Freak. Oh, how about that transition? Is tonight's Game 3 the biggest moment of Giannis's career? We discuss next. Coach, as always, thank you. Great stuff. Time for Stories to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. And we are talking not that, but this. Game 3 tonight in Milwaukee. Bucks Nets been total domination thus far from Kevin Durant and that Brooklyn team. They've done it without James Harden. They will have to do so again tonight. The team already announcing James Harden will not play. He is still nursing that hamstring. For Giannis, it is now or never. He is part of this group of 2-time MVPs without a title. He, along with Steve Nash and Karl Malone. All right, Nick, what's on the line for Giannis tonight?
Given how the last 2 postseasons ended, I think this is the biggest game of Giannis's career up to this point. Giannis must be great tonight. There are no excuses. 2 years ago, Giannis was still a young-ish player going up against Kawhi, going up against a Toronto team that had been through the fires before. You have a defensive player of the year guarding you. It's not an excuse, it's an explanation. Last year, it's like, oh, it's the bubble. We had our mojo going right before the whole world stopped. And then Bam Adebayo, this kind of freakish, athletic, long, forward center hybrid. He guarded you. Okay, fine. That doesn't exist in Brooklyn. You got Blake Griffin on one leg guarding Giannis, daring him to take jump shots. The only other guy they could put on him is other guys are either Nick Claxton or Kevin Durant, who have the same frame that I do, meaning they're not going to be able to bully Giannis. They're not going to be able to muscle Giannis. So listen, if the Bucks go 6 for 30 or 8 for 28 or whatever they did in game 2, if they go ice cold from 3 again and they lose, so be it. But Giannis, they haven't played in 2 days. They don't play again until Sunday, so it's one game in 5 days. Giannis needs to tell Bud, I'm playing 44 minutes. My plan is to take at least 15 free throws. I'm not going to be worried about the stupid free throw counter. I'm going to go look like a dominant MVP, win or lose. And if he can't do that against this Nets defense, then it cements the fact, as much as it hurts my heart because I love the guy, he can't be relied on in the postseason. Like, that's what's on the line for him.
Listen, Nick, I think he has a big game and they still lose. I mean, we talked about this after game 1. You said, I just don't see it happening anymore where, from deep, from 3, 20%, then they go 29%. They need the guys to step up and knock down their shots. Giannis, he needs to put his back to the basket. Anytime he catches the ball in the post, it is night-night. He's unstoppable. It's like him, the Joker. Sometimes Embiid get down there, and, but he kind of get cute in the post. But those two guys are unstoppable with their back against to the basket. So he needs to do that. To me, what's on the line here, Wilds, is the perception. And that's all it is, the perception. Like the perception that, Giannis can get you to the championship. He can win a title as is. He can't. He can't do it. You need somebody else. You need some more help. I don't know if he'll ever develop a shot from 3. His form and just his whole confidence, out there on the perimeter is just off. I mean, the high arc, it just doesn't feel right. So, the perception is on the line tonight, Wilds. Giannis can have a big game and still lose.
So I think he is going to have a big game because he's done it before. Giannis against the Nets in the regular season was Wilt Chamberlain-esque. If we can show my favorite graphic, courtesy of our buddy Dusty. He's averaging 40 points, and this is the regular season. Now, last game he only had 18, and Middleton wasn't great, and Drew Holiday wasn't great. But now you get to go home. And instead of shooting 26% at Barclays like you do, you get to shoot 39% from 3. So I expect Middleton to have a better game. I expect Drew Holiday to have a better game. And I think Giannis comes back and has that 40-point game. Nick, the weirdest thing about it is when you're like, hey, Joker needs to get 40, or if we were like, hey, Donovan needs to carry this team and get 40, we view it as a stretch for those guys. It's literally what Giannis was doing against the Nets. He doesn't need to change anything. He just needs to keep cooking the Nets like he did in the regular season.
Wilds, I agree with you, which is why there is such the added pressure on him. Last year, when we saw it was going to be Bucks Heat, people were like, ooh, Giannis had some tough games against the Heat. Bam's a really tough matchup for him. When you saw it was Bucks Raptors, like, oh, I wonder if they'll use Kawhi on him. We know Giannis can dominate this team. We saw him do it. So if he doesn't do it, the only explanation is, oh, in the postseason, it's a different thing. Brandon, even if they lose, that's one thing, Brandon. But I need Giannis to have a 40-point game. Maybe the Nets will be too much. I think the Bucks will win. But, Jenna, you got to have Giannis crush tonight.
All right, hang on, Brandon, because I want to get your quick pick here as we head out the door. Clippers, Jazz, game 2 tonight in Salt Lake City, Utah, up 1-0. Brandon, who wins this game?
Oh, the Clippers win it. Oh, yeah, the Clippers going to take this one, Nick. You know who I got. Kev, K-Dub, you know.
Kevin?
I'm going with the Jazz. I'm going with the Jazz. Donovan has a 28.1 playoff average. He gets that exactly, even the 10th of a point somehow. I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
8.1. I actually agree with Brandon. I think the Clippers even it up. I think this is a 7-game series. I think the Clippers split in Utah tonight.
We'll see you tomorrow. Undisputed starts right now.